Hello and welcome to the Equity Finders Investor Strategy Presentation video series where you can learn how to become wealthy in real estate the smart way. Before we launch into the presentation, I'd like to tell you just a little bit about our exclusive SmartMap comping system along with a thumbnail view of our real estate investment philosophy. First off, our SmartMap technology was developed with investors in mind. As you know, any seasoned investor will tell you that the most successful fix and flips are made on the buying end. And by successful, what we mean to say is that you actually make a profit after all of your hard work and efforts. In other words, you need to convince a seller to give you their property for much less than it's actually worth. I'm sure you're also aware that finding deal properties is a lot more challenging than some may have led you to believe. And the good news is that we have developed a secret weapon known as the SmartMap, which will allow you to locate and research properties that are already priced well below market value. That means our system only finds properties with existing equity built in. We like to say that this gives you an unfair advantage when it comes to locating and researching profitable real estate deals, because plain and simply, it does. We'll be discussing how our SmartMap technology ties in with our real estate investment strategies in more detail as we go through this training presentation. But I also want to let you know that during this training, we'll be discussing 3 different real estate investment strategies, none of which have anything to do with repeating the big lie that it's easy to get rich quick by fixing and flipping houses. In fact, part of our philosophy is that we like to take things one step at a time so you can make informed, intelligent buying and investment decisions. And it would be remiss of us not to dispel a few myths right from the start. Starting with the fact that we don't consider fixing and flipping houses to be investing in real estate at all. Fix and flip to us is more like a buy low, sell high retail business in which you may have to pay to sit on your inventory for longer than expected periods of time. While investing in real estate is all about leveraging your money and letting it do the work for you to ensure long-term growth and profits. Now don't get me wrong, yes, there are definitely profitable opportunities in the fix and flip and wholesaling arenas in that you can produce short-term profits if, and these are both big ifs, number one, you acquire a property way under market value, or what we in the industry call ARV, or after repair value. And 2, you're able to complete the repairs and resell the property in a relatively short period of time. But what nobody ever seems to want to talk about is that these are actually high-risk business models in which most people lose some, if not all, of their investment. And unless you're fortunate enough to be sitting on a pile of cash, you must be willing to take on the risk of taking out high-interest, short-term hard money loans. Plus, deal with the fact that these carrying costs can eat into your profits very quickly as you or your contractors are submitting plans, dealing with the permitting process, and making the necessary repairs. Again, don't get me wrong, we absolutely do work with many fix and flippers who use our SmartMap technology to locate and research profitable real estate deals. But our philosophy and approach to helping you to become wealthy in real estate the smart way is to teach you how to get rich slow, but for sure, as you see a 40 to 60% or more annual return on your real estate investments. So grab yourself a tasty beverage, sit back, and take some notes while you take this first of 3 real estate investment strategies into consideration. Starting with strategy 1, building your real estate investment portfolio long term. Let me start by asking a simple question. Do you know the rate of return you're getting right now from your real estate investments? If not, that's okay. You're not alone. Most people have no idea. So what we're going to do is illustrate the type of returns you could and should be getting using this simple philosophy. So let's start by just drawing some houses. These are two identical houses. They sit right next door to each other, and they are both priced at $200,000. And what we're going to do is buy these and rent them out. So investor 1 is going to pay all cash, or $200,000. But investor 2 is going to put down 20%, or $40,000, and take out a conventional mortgage for the remaining $160,000, or 80%, at 4.5% to 5% interest. Now both these houses have been purchased, and both investors are collecting monthly rents. Investor 1 has no loan. He paid cash. But investor 2 has a loan for $160,000. So, which investor has more positive cash flow? Well, investor 1 has a $200,000 negative cash flow from day one, and no amount of rent will ever recover that very quickly. So point 1, positive cash flow can be a huge misnomer. Now this isn't very likely to happen, but just to keep the math simple, let's just say that both properties go up in value by 10%, or $20,000 in the first year. What is the rate of return in year 1 for each one of the investors? Well, by dividing the return of $20,000 by the amount invested, that would be $200,000 in the first investor scenario, we can see that investor 1 would generate a 10% return on his or her investment. But investor 2 would generate 5 times that amount for a 50% return because he or she only paid $40,000 for the property and has a tenant making the payment on the other 80%. So who really has the higher rate of return? You're right, investor 2. Now to emphasize our third point, both houses will double in value over a period of time. It may take 10 or 15 years or more, but I'm sure we both agree that at some point both will double in value. At which point both houses will be worth $400,000 each. And investor 1 will have made $200,000. But investor 2 could have bought 5 houses by leveraging that same $200,000, which would produce a combined value of $1 million or more. So the main point that we're trying to make is that you want to take the money that you have and leverage it as many times as you can. To further emphasize the true potential of this strategy, and to further demonstrate that if you're not making at least 40 to 60% annual return on your real estate investments, you're probably doing something wrong. We're going to use data directly from the multiple listing service. Let's take a look at the average sale price of single-family homes in the Phoenix metropolitan area for the past 5 years. Let's not forget, here at the Equity Finders, our exclusive Smart Map technology actually helps you to locate properties that are being sold under market value. So these figures are actually conservative estimates. As you can see, in September 2012, the average sales price for a single-family home was $209,824. And by August 2017, it had gone up to $319,316. Now, since it's easier for us to deal with round numbers, let's just say that you purchased a house at full market value back in 2012 for $210,000. And now today, that house is worth $319,000. That's an increase in value of $109,000 over that 5-year period, which gives you an annual return or an annual increase in value of $21,800. Let's also assume that instead of paying all cash for that property, you put down 20% or $42,000 and finance the remaining 80% or $168,000 at a rate of 4.5% to 5%. And of course you have tenants paying down your mortgage. In this scenario, today you would be seeing an annual rate of return on your investment of 51.9% instead of just over 10% had you paid all cash for that same property. And once again, by leveraging your cash, instead of purchasing just one property, you could have purchased 2, 3, 4, or even 5, all producing approximately the same annual return on your actual investment. So I hope you're beginning to see the potential of this pretty straightforward approach to leveraging your way to becoming wealthy in real estate the smart way. This nearly concludes part 1 of this training series. In our second video, we'll be sharing a strategy for those of you who are willing to have just a little bit of patience, but who would like to see a faster return on your investments while minimizing your financial risk. But before you go on to view that next video, we must talk just a little bit about hard money loans, because this is how many new investors are encouraged to finance their fix and flip projects. We understand that if you're an experienced investor, that you already know this, but for those of you who are new to the game, short-term hard money loans typically require interest-only payments with rates running up to 16% or higher, with a balloon payment due and payable usually by the end of the first year. Plus, you can expect to pay up to 4 points depending on the loan. So fix and flippers need to be absolutely sure that they can afford the monthly payment and be sure there is enough potential profit in the spread before signing a contract for a hard money loan. Every month a house isn't sold, the carrying costs add up. The average time between buying and selling a house is about 6 months, according to RealtyTrac. That's a lot of carrying costs. And let's not forget about additional closing costs, listing fees, and commissions to real estate agents when it comes time to resell that property. Again, we work with many seasoned investors who use hard money loans in some cases. But if you continue to watch the second video in this training series, we'll share with you what we feel is a smarter way to approaching fixing and flipping properties. Thank you for viewing and listening. We'll see you in the next video.